What's up, losers? I'm glad you've decided to join me. Because today is a very special day. Why, you ask? Well, because today I'm doing the sequel. That's right. After all the fun I had last time, I've decided to return to r/fatlogic for some more sheets and giggles. As I'm sure you'll agree, the sequel is always better, and much more necessary, than the original, so you've made a good decision by tuning in for round 2. Anyway, that's enough beating around the bush. Let's get into it.
Fat people are hot. To think fat people aren't sexy is to hallucinate an anti-fat nightmare. The only way anyone could think that is to be so deep in capitalist fatphobia that you recoil at the beauty of life and abundance. You don't need to be attracted to someone to treat them with respect. But, let's stop pretending fat people aren't hot AF.
Good lord, the word cringe gets trotted out far too often these days. But honestly, what could be more cringe than trying to persuade people to find you attractive? It's like getting the word insecure tattooed across your forehead. People will have varying opinions on how attractive fatness is. And that's fine, but this person clearly isn't happy with people liking what they like. She wants everyone to tell her how hot she is. And if they don't, well, they must just be fatphobic, right? It's kinda funny how the body positivity thing was supposed to be about rejecting beauty standards. But now, fat activists want to make fatness the new beauty standard. Because it's not enough to just be normal. I guess. The dramatic language she uses is also really funny to me. Especially the part where she describes fatness as the beauty of life and abundance. Ha ha ha, well, there certainly isn't an abundance of common sense now. Is there? The word you're looking for isn't abundance. Honey, it's excess. It's the gross overconsumption of food to the point that it wrecks your health. Even while millions in the world starve. I wouldn't describe that as beautiful. And as for life, the only connection between obesity and life is obesity's tendency to diminish quality of life and lower life expectancy. But I'm guessing that's not where you were going with that.
Every time I see a fatphobe try to point out how bad being fat is, I imagine them going up to a cancer patient and doing the same thing. Explaining to the person with cancer why cancer is so bad, and demonizing the person for having cancer, equating having cancer to having inferior morality, claiming that cancer makes a person ugly because they become bald, all while not listening when the person with cancer says there's no cure, and that they didn't choose to have cancer. Except in the fatphobe's case, it's even worse, because being fat is not, and has never been, inherently unhealthy. #worthy thoughts. #fatphobia.
This is genuinely the most confused and nonsensical comparison I've ever seen. On the one hand, they're trying to get people to be more sympathetic to fat people by comparing them to cancer patients, which is a stupid comparison to make, because fatness is self-imposed, while cancer, generally speaking, is not. But beyond that, they contradict their own point by saying that fatness isn't actually unhealthy, which totally invalidates the strained comparison that they were trying to draw. So the structure of the argument, if you can call it that, goes something like, fatness is like cancer, and you wouldn't be mean to a cancer patient. Therefore, you shouldn't be mean to fat people either. But also, fatness is great and totally healthy, i.e. nothing like cancer. Size, what a mess. Just to be clear, I understand how difficult it can be for people to lose weight, and how to some fat people, it might feel like they have no control over their weight. But this isn't actually the case. And adopting a mindset of learned helplessness and self-victimization isn't going to help anyone. Plus, it's exhausting to read.
My toxic trait is that I think bullying anorexic fatphobes is always funny and justified. Lol. #neon.txt. #they deserve it. #in bold letters. Fatphobes. #specifically.
This one is just cruel. But I respect its honesty. If nothing else, there is a real vindictive streak in a lot of fat activists. And it's kind of refreshing to see them unmask themselves, rather than forcing someone else to do it. Going after people who are suffering from eating disorders, just because you are insecure about yourself, is super low, twisting body positivity into a weapon to be used against psychologically vulnerable people who have their own crippling body image issues to deal with, is just pathetic and inexcusable. Get a life.
The people who say, just stop drinking soda, and you'll be able to lose weight, control your health, sound as ridiculous as the people who say, just stop driving your car, and you'll solve climate change. Hashtag worthy thoughts. Hashtag fatphobia. Hashtag healthism.
Well, it looks like I might have spoke too soon. This comparison might just be even more preposterous than the last one. Imagine comparing the complexity of one person's calorie intake to the complexity of resolving climate change. This might sound harsh, but I am convinced that whoever wrote this is a complete and utter moron. Like, they clearly don't understand the point people are making when they talk about driving less, not fixing climate change. The reason that doesn't fix climate change is because climate change is a massive system that receives inputs from billions of people and thousands of companies across hundreds of countries and industries. One person's singular consumption decisions, naturally, won't affect this system in any meaningful way. But your diet, literally, just involves you. If you, and you alone, personally, maintain a calorie deficit, you will lose weight. And yes, an easy way to achieve this is by cutting down on full sugar soda, because those are just empty calories. So, yeah, someone definitely sounds ridiculous here. But it's not the person telling you to put down the jumbo Mountain Dew.
To lose weight, it used to be recommended that to lose a pound per week, you would need to decrease total calories by 500 a day. Now, researchers believe weight loss is a slower process, and that a decrease of 10 calories a day leads to a loss of about 1 pound in a year. The key is to be patient and work with a dietitian to help find the right plan for you.
This reads like satire, but knowing health at every size, it probably isn't. Seriously though, a 10-calorie deficit, that's too small to even measure accurately. You'd mess up a whole day's calorie budgeting by having one too many chips, haha. As for aiming for 1 pound of weight loss a year, what kind of target is that? It's beyond unambitious. Does the bar get any lower? How are people supposed to remain motivated when their reward at the end of a year of discipline is 1 flipping pound of weight loss? And that's only if they are completely spot on in their calorie counting every single day. It's farcical, and more importantly, for people who are losing weight for health reasons, there is actually a degree of urgency to getting the weight off. Being, say, 100 pounds overweight can bring serious health consequences at any age. But following this diet plan, you would almost certainly die long before you were even in the ballpark of a healthy weight. So what, exactly, is the point? There's no reason why people can't set more ambitious weight loss goals for themselves and achieve an improved quality of life in a reasonable time frame. This kind of nonsense is only going to reinforce the idea that dieting is some interminable Herculean task, which isn't helpful for anyone, except maybe health at every size grifters and willfully ignorant fat activists.
Of course it's unhealthy to be fat. If you're fat, you're going to have a rough time getting health insurance. You probably won't get regular checkups and preventative care. And any health problems you might have, completely unrelated to your weight, will be a lot worse when you finally do see a doctor. Even if you have health coverage, you probably avoid going to the doctor if you're fat. So you're in the same situation. Why do you avoid going to the doctor? Every time you walk into a doctor's office, the first thing they want you to do is step on a scale. Then you get the lecture, or the belittling remark, or worse, the weight loss advice. You figure, as long as you feel okay, Why risk it? You don't pay for abuse in any other setting. Right, you value your mental health. So you stay away. If you're fat, and you do visit the doctor, he or she might decide to treat your weight rather than your symptoms. You get a diet rather than a diagnosis. The doctor says all your ills are caused by your fat. 6 months later, you still have sharp pains in your heel, or nasal congestion, or shooting lights in your vision. So you find a new doctor. This time you actually get treatment for your plantar fasciitis, or your sinus infection, or your brain tumor. These examples are based on actual cases. Your doctor may not like fat people. A recent study found that fat women are a third less likely to get breast exams or pap smears. An exception. Fat and thin women get mammograms equally often. The authors said that doctors may do exams more readily if they don't have to touch fat patients. Fat women are at increased risk for certain scary cancers. Breast, cervical, endometrial, ovarian. Getting less preventative care, researchers concluded, may exacerbate or even account for this increased risk. It's not the fat that kills us. It's the fat hatred. This is so powerful. It's fat shaming, phobia, masqueraded in health concerns, is misogyny. Women are valued for their bodies.
This is the kind of post that one could only make if they feared personal responsibility more than death itself. Why do fat people have a harder time getting health insurance? Must be fatphobia. It couldn't be that health insurance companies are just protecting their bottom line by excluding a group that is likely to be a financial liability. No, it must be their pathological hatred of fat people. Fat people don't go to the doctor. Must be the doctor's fault for being too insensitive and offering up their professional advice based on their years of specialized education and experience. If they would just coddle their fat patients that little bit more, all of their health problems would disappear. There's nothing whatsoever unhealthy about being fat. After all, kidding aside, I'm sure that there are cases where doctors have overlooked things because of an undue focus on weight. And I'm sure that in some cases, doctors have failed to provide the quality of care to fat patients that they would to thin patients. But to focus exclusively on such instances and discount the endless evidence linking obesity to diminished health outcomes by blaming fat phobia is to turn one's back on reality and resign oneself to an unhealthy and no doubt unhappy life. And I'd like to think that, regardless of weight, we can all aspire to something better than that. Well, that's all I've got today. Fat logic posts are always a ride. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you agree with my takes? Or have I been brainwashed by diet culture propaganda? As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, or you'll be hallucinating an anti-fat nightmare. And we wouldn't want that, haha. Anyway, catch you later.